This afternoon we're providing an opportunity for you to discover something you really need to know about. So I encourage you to listen well and listen carefully. What I'll talk about concerns your body and your mind, because, that's it. That's our world. Actually, I'm sure most of you know everything important about your body already, or at least the essential aspects. But you're likely to be stunned to know something vital and essential about your mind. Okay, here it is. When the body goes, the mind does not go on. This is contrary to what you would have heard from Celine Dion's Titanic song. To verify this fact, let me ask you this. Are you a permanent entity? And is the content and functioning of your mind something personal? If you are, then you need to be who you think you are permanently, all the time. But that's not the fact, is it? It's not like that in reality. We are not a self all the time. The self is an idea, and the self idea comes and goes. Doesn't hang in there permanently and continuously. Allow me to explain this to you. The self idea operates in a particular way. And once you understand how it operates and understand the implication, what this means will change your worldview. If we want to know about the truth of our life, we have to recognize just how the mind operates. For it's the mind that runs our life. The mind is the boss. It can't possibly be the body. It's evident that the body belongs to nature, and it's going to disintegrate back into the elements and back into nature once the life force leaves. The life force must then be in the mind, or at least it isn't running the show from somewhere within the body. That would be impossible. Nobody's ever seen the life force in the body as a particular thing. Okay, so here's a 5-minute summation that describes the nature of mind. And it goes like this. We have 6 doors of perception. The eye, ear, nose, tongue, taste, body itself, and thought. So when the eyes see a formation, then a recognition will occur. We know we're seeing a form, and the mind at this particular moment is in the eye. Now immediately after an eye object impacts its form, and we recognize it, the mind jumps to memory. It runs through the files and it searches through these memory files until it picks out something that it knows, and it returns with a name for that particular form. And if the mind doesn't run over to memory, we would see just color and form. But memory generates something. From the contact, which was simply form and color, something has occurred. There's a name. Immediately the relationship between something and awareness becomes personal. And once a personal relationship between something and the mind occurs, we have taken the something which now has a name and we relate to it personally. It's at this point that the person, the surrogate or alias or so-called self arises. But before that happens, say when we only see color and form, there is no self. There's no person generated. After this sequence of attention, our attention then shifts. Say it shifts to the ear or to the tongue, and then the awareness of that organ of the body. Say the mind is turned on to the ear organ, then sound becomes the thing that's acknowledged. If we follow our habitual or our usual pattern, once again, we go into our memory and search and determine that sound is the sound of a bird, a person, a car. Additionally, we're going to come back and label that information as a byte of some sort, an information byte. And from there we're going to decide whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral according to our experience. Now that memory has fished out that soundtrack just like it fished out images when the eye was the active aspect of our world of perception. And something again arises. In the next instantaneous frame of the sequence, we relate to that object as something personal, and then the self again arises. Now all this is happening at blinding speed, because as the mind flits along from one door of perception to another, from contact to memory, and once memory has done its duty, and then it drives on to this surrogate sense of being a person or being me or a self. You know, we can call it the waiting to arise self. This self switches on and off, and it relates to that memory packet personally. So when it's switched on, then we get the sense that we're living in the world as a self. And we're living in the world through the contact with the eye or ear, or nose, taste, body, or thought. Now this is a situation that's constantly occurring as long as we're alive. If your memory files and search engine are working, you can remember something. Something with a name is going to arise, or perhaps it's something unknown, something nameless. When something unknown arises, that means we can't match it with something. Memory doesn't know it, but it still becomes something. It becomes something unknown or strange that goes in the file under that name. So I ask you to reflect on this for a moment, for this is a process that's been going on your whole life. Hundreds of thousands of times, depending how old you are, it could be as many as 1,000,000 by now. And each time you've overlooked, you've misapprehended exactly what's going on. You've allowed the self to become personal. The idea of self, instead of being an idea, becomes a reality. At the cognition end of the cycle or the sequence comes the idea of self. That's where it arises. It's in a waiting mode. It exists as a kind of energy cloud of accumulated synapses and is reborn at the end of the transaction that I've been describing, at the end of the process of mundane awareness. The profound aspect I'm highlighting and talking to you about is the idea of self as a thing that comes and goes. It's not something living, it's a mechanism that arises and passes away. It arises and passes away with each and every contact to which we cling to and to which we relate to as the self. From the trigger mechanism of contact, memory is initiated and the name thing moves in and into an intimate relationship with the waiting in the wings idea of a continuous self. That is the idea of self. It lights up as it contacts something and then switches off just as fast as it lights up. It seems or it appears to be continuous, like a light bulb or a fluorescent light, which appears to emit a constant aura of light, but it's not like that. It's not constant at all. It's blinking on and off faster than we can catch it. The light from the bulb is transitory, just as the connection of the idea of self to something is transitory as well. This is the critical insight that our meditation leads us to. Apart from the nebulous piece of consciousness which displays the idea of self, there's no one there. No one is the natural condition. Now, I haven't presented this to you to try and convince you that the idea of self is merely a contrived, seeming condition which activates the habitual notion of self. If you're seeing the mind as permanent, not as something that arises and passes away in nanoseconds, you're not seeing things as they are. You're not seeing the reality. If you believe that after the body fails, which it will, that a permanent mind is going to go on somewhere or will continue to abide in the way you think it is right now, or you hold some other idea that believes the notion that the mind is permanent, you're being deceived and being deluded. All the notions that you hold like that fly in the face of empirical evidence, which you can see for yourself. This is a fact, but it must be realized. It must be known. So now I offer this for your contemplation. May you come to see the truth. May you know the way things are.